Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's press conference. The Citadel is coming off a comeback 42-27 victory over Samford on homecoming last Saturday. We'll travel on the road this Saturday to face number 1 Alabama. The game will kick off at noon on the SEC Network. Here to talk about the Bulldog program is head coach Brent Thompson.
Thank you, John. Certainly was an exciting win. It was a great comeback. The important thing that I think I saw was some of our guys that maybe not had been around in a couple of weeks really show up and play a great second half. Aaron Spann had a terrific game on the defensive side. Sean McCord, a fifth year that's finally coming around for us, had a really good game. Had a good game against Western, but probably had the game changer of a play, the strip sack, to be able to put us in good field position to be able to score and get us going again on the offensive side. So I think some of those fifth-year guys, 2 weeks in a row between Peterkin at Western and Sean at the Samford game here, did a great job of really rallying the troops for us and getting us back going in the right direction. So excited about that. On the offensive side, we had a lot of great performances. Brandon Rainey with another good one, and really just a tough job on his part, finding some way to get some yards in there, finding little vertical seams to get in there. Same thing with Lorenzo Ward coming out with 4 touchdowns. A lot of them were on his own, the last couple. I know they're just 1 or 2 yard gains in there, but there wasn't a whole lot to be had. He just had a will and a desire to score a touchdown, and certainly did. And then, of course, the long run was a good play by him as well. So excited for it. It was a great win on homecoming. Always when you're down and you rally back out after a 21-point deficit to come back and win the football game, and to win it the way we did was certainly exciting. And hopefully that keeps on moving forward to this week and then to the final week against Charleston Southern. Obviously, this is a very important football game for us for a lot of reasons. We want to just go out there and make a great showing, compete our butts off as best we possibly can on such a big and grand stage. It's going to be an exciting atmosphere for us. They're a very, very good football team, best we probably have ever seen. There's not a whole lot of deficiencies on either side of the ball. They're extremely fast. They're extremely physical. They play very strong. It'll be all that we can do just to be able to move the football and stop them from scoring. But we're going to give them everything that we got. Questions?
Brent, obviously get it from a money aspect. It's a nice paycheck for you guys. Just your overall thought on these games. What's your opinion? Do you feel like they need to be played year in and year out?
Yeah, we do. We definitely do. It's something that we never really get an opportunity to do week in and week out. So for us to do it once a year, to go up there and play Clemson last year, play South Carolina a couple of years ago, North Carolina, and Florida State, it's exciting for our players. The hard thing is when the good thing I'd say this year is we have the Charleston Southern game at the end of the year. This doesn't finish our season off like it has the last couple of years. So this will be exciting for us to be able to go to Alabama and then come back and play another game still. So I do like it. I don't necessarily like always where it falls at the end of the schedule. I like maybe more at the beginning of the schedule for us. But I certainly love the stage, and I'd love to be able to go there and experience something that we may never ever have a chance to experience again.
So even if the final score is 63-3 or something, it's all worth it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We've gotten beat before. It doesn't much matter to you, right? You want to go up there and you want to compete and give it your best and see where you stack up against some of these. And just like it was last year against Clemson, it certainly didn't feel good. But at the end of the day, when we go up there and we get a chance to compete and just show what we've got, we'll be okay with that.
Is it a real recruiting tool? Do you show guys the schedule and say, look, you're going to get to play Clemson, you're going to get to play Alabama? Does it work that way?
Especially next year when we play Georgia Tech, because we have a lot of Georgia players on our roster, and they want to do that. They want to play at home. They want to have that atmosphere. They want to be able to play in front of some people that they know or play against some people that they know. So we definitely do that. It doesn't become real life until the week of when you've got to play it, just like it didn't become real life 2 years ago when we scheduled it until about Sunday. But it's a good opportunity for us, and yeah, I do think it's a good opportunity to be able to sell your recruits a little bit.
After the past 2 games you've had with those incredible second halves, I guess what's the emotion when you look up and say, instead of playing CSU next, oh, we got to go down and play Alabama? Yeah,
it's certainly it's difficult. It's very challenging. But like I told the players, is don't worry about them. Let's just worry about ourselves. Let's just go out there and worry about what we can control and what we can do, and give them our best possible game. And we'll let the chips fall where they may, and we'll come back and we'll rally back for Charleston Southern next week. And like I said, the good thing about it is we've got another one to go to.
Have you had a chance to talk to Lorenzo at all this week? Obviously, a little bit of an interesting week for his family.
No, I haven't. Certainly first of all, he had a terrific week, and then of course his dad getting named the interim head coach up there, certainly well deserved. He's actually an Alabama graduate, so this will be an interesting game for him. Unfortunately, he's probably got a game this week to worry about himself, but I know he'll be excited to watch and see. And I do know our Lorenzo will do a heck of a job against Alabama because he's a fierce competitor.
What runs through your mind when you go from breaking down film against Samford to breaking down film against Alabama?
It's hard because there's very little weaknesses there. Usually you're trying to find or exploit something. First of all, we don't have any triple option film on them, so it's all that we can do to be able to just kind of imagine what they're going to do and get to the game and see what kind of adjustments that we're going to have to make. And then on the offensive side, they're so explosive. They score so fast. If you look at their first quarter and second quarter stats, they're unbelievable. All we're trying to do is just be able to try to move the ball and get first downs on the offensive side and be able to kind of make them punt here and there to be able to stay in the football game for as long as we possibly can. But it's very challenging because they don't have any weaknesses. They're big, strong, and athletic, well coached, and they know exactly what they're doing. And I'm sure against the triple option, they know they're going to have a good plan against it. And we'll have to wait and see what's going to come out on Saturday.
When you watch teams like Alabama and Clemson on film, do you get a full appreciation, or does it take being on the sideline to really appreciate what you're playing against?
A little bit of both is you could see, because when you're looking at SEC and ACC opponents, when the skill level is close to how good they are, especially when we watched Clemson's defensive line last year. We watched them against Georgia Tech, and we understand that Georgia Tech's a big physical offensive line, and they can run the football, and they run our style of an offense, or we run their style of an offense, depending on how you look at it. You could see the struggles that they have with those kind of a team. So you could see that on film. But then when you get in person, it adds a whole nother level to that. Last year was a little bit frustrating just to see if you could try to move the football on the ground, which was tough until about the third or the fourth quarter.
How do your players approach games like these against the Clemson's, Alabama's? Is it just pure excitement? Or?
It's pure excitement. They don't approach them any differently. If you ask our players right there, they're going to go out there and do exactly what they do against everybody else, and that's play hard, and that's get after it pretty good on both sides of the football, and give it everything that they've got, because hopefully that's all the way that they're trained to play football, and that's one speed and that's one way.
You're probably in a unique situation playing Clemson last year and Alabama this year. As a head coach at the FCS level, is that something you can kind of wear as a badge of honor that you've played like two of the top programs right now, or is this just kind of frustration, like let's go play Vanderbilt or someone else who maybe struggles at the SEC level?
Well, considering since we've been here, we've had Florida State coming off a national championship, Clemson coming off a national championship, and Alabama coming off a national championship. I think I'm over the national championship teams at this point. But yeah, it certainly is a bit of a badge of honor, but I think I'll be happy not wearing that badge here from here on out. It's certainly luck of the draw. I mean, you don't know. Obviously, the Florida State game was scheduled before we got here, and the Clemson and Alabama, you kind of have a good idea that they're going to compete for them every single year. So it'll be difficult. But, on the other hand is those games are close. They're regional games for us. We want to try to stay as much as we can in region and play some local teams just for the recruiting aspect of things.
Is there an advantage to playing one of those teams instead of somebody who maybe isn't a power but is still a Power 5 team?
Sometimes there's a price advantage, there's a cost advantage there, absolutely, and then sometimes there's a geographic advantage there when you play Clemson or South Carolina. The cost is a little bit easier to keep down. You don't have to take flights and those kind of things. So the other thing is just how the schedule works out is if they've got an opening, we certainly want to jump on it. That way we've got an opportunity to certainly make some money on the game.
Did you expect Brandon Rainey to rush for almost 400 yards in his first two games, and what is the spark that he's brought to the offense?
No, I did not have any expectations of him rushing for 400 yards. being that I don't think anybody had that expectation, because that's hard to have an expectation of anybody rushing for 400 yards in 2 consecutive games. Even some of our better B-backs haven't done that. And really what it is it's just a little bit of pure grit and desire on his part, as he sat behind there, and you go from playing every single play as just about every single game as a B-back your sophomore year to not playing one down. Sometimes it's just a little bit of a hunger level just to get back out there, compete and play football again, and do what he loves to do, which is get out there and play the game. So I think that's really what it comes down to. So no, my expectations weren't that for him, but certainly he has gone out there and done a great job of competing for us and just operating the offense. Has he made his fair share of mistakes? Yes. Do we need to correct those? Yes. Does he know that? Certainly he does. And he's probably his harshest critic, which is nice. I don't have to get on him too much about ball security. He understands that. But it's also hard to criticize him when he's fighting for more yards and he gets the ball poked out. Those are things that happen. We need to control those a little bit better, and he needs to control them, and he knows that.
It looks like to me he's got a little juice into that second level. He's got a little bit of acceleration there.
Yeah, something that we weren't expecting, because he is not very fast. He understands that he's not very fast, but he does have a little bit of game breakaway speed, and he's one of those runners that gets better as the run gets longer, and that certainly helps. As just on his 60-yard rush touchdown right there, he broke 3 tackles on the way in, and ended up having nobody around him by about the 10-yard line in.
They're saying this Alabama team might be the best college team ever. What do you
concur.
think?
Yeah, I concur. As I told you, they're a unique combination of speed, athleticism, well-coached, physical, big and strong, and then that's just the defensive side, and then on the offensive side, young wide receivers that are extremely talented, a quarterback that can put the ball on the money. I think that's the biggest difference, and we saw that at Clemson last year as well with Kelly Bryant. There's very little room for error in some of those coverages, and he puts it right on the money. And Tua is the same way. He's got wonderful wide receivers out there that can certainly make plays, but the quarterback puts the ball in such terrific spots, and they can run the ball. It's extremely effective as well. So I think it is by far one of the best teams we've ever seen put together, just because they're such a unique combination of good offense and good defense and speed and ability.
Do you think Nick Saban should play Tua against the Citadel?
I think he should, just from the just from a little bit of a rhythm, start the game with him. I think it's one of those things that he's going to have a feel for what his team needs, and I think he's already stated that is, if he doesn't, then he probably thinks it's what's best for the ball club. But really for him is if he wants to kind of keep some continuity and some rhythm in there and keep Tua ready to go, and he certainly is a difference maker in there. I think he will play him for as long as he possibly feels it's necessary. I certainly don't. Neither does he, obviously, but I certainly don't take any suggestions really from many other people outside on how to run my offense or my program, other than some of my coaches and some close people. My dad, of course. All right, thank you guys very much. Yes, sir.
After Alabama, you got the Thanksgiving break. Will the kids go home for that week and then come back and get going up again?
Next week we will practice. We will come back. We won't practice on Sunday because we'll get back in a little bit late. I'm going to give them Sunday off. We're going to come back and practice Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We'll be off Wednesday afternoon, and then we'll come back Sunday afternoon, and we'll get back together. So they'll have Thursday, Thanksgiving, Friday, and Saturday to be with their families. We'll get back together. It'll give us about 6 prep days and about 6.5 prep days. Monday's a day off for us, but we may have to do something there and to be able to get ready for Charleston Southern. We're going to treat it as close as we can to a bowl week, get out and do some recruiting, but also prepare for our games.
For this time of the season, you've been playing forever, so
Yeah,
it'll be okay.
No, we should know what we're doing. Is we shouldn't have to go out there and practice 22 periods. We should be able to go out there between 16 and 18 periods and get our work in. Sure.
Obviously, the last 3 games, the offense did what they did in the second half both times. It's obvious that they scored a lot more. We scored a lot more points in the second half than we did in the first. On the defensive side, was it adjustments that made a difference, or was it just execution on the part of the players? Would you say that where we shut down their offense in the second half like we did?
I think we had some great defensive adjustments, especially this past week. Is a couple things that we had to do that we weren't doing in the first half. Is we doubled a couple of the receivers a little bit more, and didn't allow the ball to get out of the quarterback's hands as quickly as possible. And then I thought Coach Harrell did a good job of mixing in some pressures to make sure that the ball got out of his hand quickly in certain scenarios. We did a good job of being able to keep him in the pocket when we needed to. And then when he scrambled, I thought we did a good job of containing him from scrambling, but also watching out for the open receivers and trying to close the gap on him a little bit. A couple things that has gotten us a couple times in the past, whether it was at Towson or whether it was at VMI. We did a much better job of it this past week against Sanford, against a terrific quarterback that's probably going to set the record and has a good chance to set it this week. Thank you.